Cute story. Leaving the natural hair community is actually the thing that allowed me to love my natural hair. Like, proper love it. What is up, my family? It's your girl T, aka the nappy-headed jojoba. Not nappy, not jojoba. Nappy-headed jojoba. You have to say the whole thing. It's like a pimp named Slickback. This Tea Talk topic was chosen by my patrons, so thank you to everyone who voted in the poll over on my Patreon. It was only a 2% differential between this and the runner-up topic, but a win is a win, and unlike United States electoral politics, the polls over on my Patreon are a functioning democracy. As some of you guys already know, I chose Nappy-Headed Jojoba as my channel name because this began as a hair channel. Plus, it's really great for SEO. Like, if you search nappy-headed jojoba, you gon' get me. And to that end, I'm actually about to detangle and prep my hair for wash day. I've got my pre-poo, aka pre-shampoo treatment mix up. So I am going to get my hair together while I talk to y'all. But before I do that, I'm gonna take off my rings and my nail polish so I don't have nail polish snagging my hair when I'm detangling it in a minute. I've done get ready with me's before. This is actually going to be a, I guess, detangle and section with me. All right, so this used to be a hair channel exclusively. Again, I'm taking off nail polish, so I'm going to be looking down a bit. Anyway, this used to be a hair channel exclusively. There's probably a good number of you guys who are surprised to hear that because I almost never do hair content any longer. But it's just not worth it. And that's really what we're talking about today. And there are a few reasons for this. The first of which is that it started getting very boring for me. I mean, how many times can I show y'all how I trim my ends, really? But the real lack of fulfillment that came over time with doing only hair videos wasn't just a lack of creative fulfillment. The natural hair community, not a great place. Definitely not a place where I want to be spending my time, or better put, my efforts. I don't think it was always like this. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But as time wore on, the whole movement of women going natural turned out to be not as progressive as I had imagined it was going to be. When it really came down to it, I found that even as Afro-textured hair was gaining more visibility on TV, in movies, and obviously on YouTube, it was a very particular aesthetic, a very narrow view of what type of natural hair people wanted to show, and more importantly, that people wanted to see. I'll never forget when I really started to see the writing on the wall, and I can't even remember whose channel it was or anything, so I'm not putting anyone on blast here. But it was some basic twist out video, not the girl, but like the twist out itself. It was a basic twist out, and it kept coming up in my recommended videos like 5-6 years ago, and I could see it already had like 2 million views. And in fact, that was the only reason I ever even clicked. I was just like, what is so special about this twist out video that it has 2 million views? And believe me, after clicking through and actually watching this thing, when I say this video was nothing special, I mean it. Again, this was like 5 years ago, so well into pretty much everyone in these YouTube streets with even a tacit interest in natural hair. At this point, everyone knows what a twist out is and how to do it. But somehow, this video on a frigging basic twist out has 2 million views. Not sharing anything new, nothing innovative, nothing groundbreaking. Okay, nail polish is off. Even more curious, I remember looking to see, okay, maybe she's just some huge hair YouTuber who I've somehow never encountered before, which, I mean, I used to watch a lot of hair content at that time, so even that would have been far-fetched. I had to run to the bathroom to get my spray water bottle because I forgot I needed it, so I have scooted you guys in a bit closer. So anyway, here we are with this video. It's got like 2 million views. This girl has like, I remember she had like maybe one other video at that time. And somehow she's gotten viral off of a twist out we have all seen 11 billion times before. And that moment is what crystallized something that I'd been seeing and clocking for quite a while by that point. This video and this YouTuber went viral not because she was showing some revolutionary technique or because so many more Black women had hair like hers versus nappy hair like mine. No ma'am. In my opinion, she went viral because there are so many Black women who wish they had hairs like hers and not hair like mine. It became clear to me that even though a lot, if not most, other black women have the same kinky, curls not popping, not defined, not clumping together, more coily than curly hair that I have, this hair that is decidedly not what we see on the women in the ads for the products that they're trying to sell to us, even though this so-called 4C hair is everywhere I've ever looked. In black families, in black salons, barber shops. People out here are still very much trying to hide it and run away from it. You know what, y'all? The Bordeaux top is not the move. It's just like creeping up on my shoulders every time I reach for my hair, so I'm gonna change my shirt too. See, getting into the detangling process or really doing anything with my hair process, it's a whole rigmarole. And yet people want to say natural hair is unprofessional. As I was saying, to me it just seemed that the vast majority of people are more interested in seeing the hair they wish they had rather than learning to care for the hair they actually have. Colorism walked so texturism could run. And this pursuit of an aesthetic that is farther away from blackness in the hair textures that are praised and paraded under a farce of inclusivity remains incomplete. We're still not quite there yet. Yes, we have progressed from only seeing black women rocking straight and relaxed hair, but it's pretty rare that I actually see women with hair like mine unless I'm out in the real world. Almost never do I see it being praised and paraded, not in ads, not on TV, not in movies, not on YouTube. After all, we saw what happened last year with that H&M ad with that little girl, right? I did a whole video on that, and I'll link it here in case you don't know what I'm talking about. And even when it comes to added hair with weave, wigs, whatever, it is the same. I love a good hair hat to switch up my look or even just give myself the day off from styling. But it is hella rough trying to find weave that actually matches or resembles my hair. Just because I want to put my hair away doesn't mean that the hair that I'm putting on top shouldn't resemble my hair at all. Sometimes I want it to look like my hair, while saving me the tangling and dryness that might come with rocking my natural hair out that day. But it's hard to find. Hard to find. Incredibly hard to find. And not being able to even find weave that looks like mine very easily comes down to supply and demand. Not too many of us out here even want it. Bottom line is, most of y'all ain't ready to decolonize y'all's lace fronts. And this isn't just because of white supremacy and casting, advertising, and corporate environments causing so much hatred of Afro-textured hair amongst black people ourselves. Because I am particularly talking about YouTube. So let's look at YouTube and which hair influencers actually rise to the top. People will subscribe to all the girlies with hair that looks almost nothing like theirs and buy every coiling custard and curling pudding by the pound, trying to get their hair to look like something that it isn't. There is a reason we never got a 4C natural 85, right? And it's not for lack of trying. I've seen so many YouTubers with 4C hair who I feel should have had that type of reach, but they came and went. And the 4C hair vloggers who are reasonably successful still typically maintain a very particular standard of their own. Very long, very, very, very thick 4C hair is more important than the content itself, to be honest with you, for you to have any shot. I see it happening both here and on Instagram. If you have short 4C hair and it's normal or, God forbid, light density, vaya con Dios. This describes most of the YouTubers who I used to watch, and most of them don't even make content anymore. You can have great advice and all the tips in the world, and people are still going to subscribe to and follow the girl with the good hair. Yeah, I said it. We are nowhere near moving on from the concept of good hair. Plus, the market seems to have changed a lot in recent years to where now you'd have to do a bunch of hair stunts to have a shot. Buying weird detangling gadgets off of Amazon, or using fabric softener as deep conditioner. Or I tried washing my hair with baby oil for 2 weeks straight, and point is, I don't meet the standards, which when it comes to YouTube, we set to a large degree. We decide what videos we click on and watch, and who we uplift in whichever communities on YouTube. And frankly, no one was checking for 4C hair like that, even if they had 4C hair like that. Realizing that is a huge part of why I lost interest in making hair videos and why it was an easy and even happy decision for me to walk away. My hair, by nature, is seen as unkempt, crazy, woolly, and wild automatically. The natural hair industry as we know it is largely predicated on beating hair textures like mine into submission, into getting it to conform and to curl even when it doesn't want to. Used to be conforming through relaxers. Now it's like, let's make that 4C look like a 3C. You know, it's all about putting in a metric fuck ton of Eco Styler or Wetline, whatever the gel du jour is, and brushing your hair within an inch of its life to make it look like something else. Not to mention this obsession with laying edges and slicking them down, which to me culturally and psychologically is just as toxic as a perm. It's one thing if you just like the look, but people are way too pressed about these baby hairs and them looking like a very particular way. It is very clear when just liking a look is verging into anti-blackness, and I am not afraid to say it. I have seen time and time again newer hair channels eclipse other 4C girls who I've watched for years, girls who were making videos before me and the handful of them who are still doing it now. Simply because the new girl has super thick, dense hair and her 3C curls clumped together and she can slick her baby hairs like, whoa. And I've said before, and I'm sure I will say again, that for me, the hair typing system, you know, this whole 1, 2, 3 type 4 hair functionally, it's a whole lot like the brown paper bag test. My hair, meanwhile, unremarkable. It's not super thick. I don't have the texture that y'all wish y'all had, which means I never really stood a chance in the natural hair community on YouTube and social media. It became clear to me that it wasn't enough to at least try to be helpful, to share legitimate researched information. I used to think that the fact that I've figured out how to at least grow my hair to a decent length despite it being fragile and prone to breakage, along with the fact that, again, when I look around and see other black people and particularly black women in the world, I have a very relatable texture and density. And when I started out, I thought that that would in fact be what my niche was. But alas, this isn't awkward at all. To this day, whenever I do take a look at what's going on in hair YouTube, there are not many women repping 4C hair, despite its ubiquity in the world. I guess it turns out there's a reason for that. You know, my hair ain't thick, I ain't got no edges, these are things I cannot control, but clearly those two things, paired with the actual texture of my hair being undesirable, clearly that means that whatever I'm sharing ain't worth shit when it comes to Afro-textured hair care. Incidentally, I've actually never had a perm, so I also didn't have the perspective of ever having to transition or big chop. My perspective is one of a person who was an outsider from day none, since I'd get goofed on by girls at school for having nappy hair, even though, to be honest with you, my mom styled my hair into some bomb cornrow styles. Those hoes were just jealous. So when I first discovered that videos on YouTube about Afro-textured hair were even a thing, oh, what a time. What a time that was. The promise of finally having somewhat of a community on YouTube, of shared experiences as more and more women went natural. That was so fun for me, at least at first. But to this day, I simply do not feel compelled to try to make my curls pop or lay my no edges. I don't see the importance of trying to make my hair do things that it clearly doesn't want to do. I'd rather just care for it the way it wants to be cared for. And I guess this belief, this approach, incompatible. That's a problem for a lot of people. Spend enough time in the hair community and the internalized anti-blackness really jumps out. Not to mention the constant deluge of obnoxious comments from random bald bitches telling me what I need to do with my hair. That too began to be a bit of a deterrent. For me, I think the real nail in the coffin was the emergence of brand new insecurities. Insecurities that literally never existed for me before I started making content on YouTube. And trust and believe, I already had plenty insecurities. Even though I've had this hair literally my whole life and I've always dealt with some version of ridicule or shunning for it, YouTube started making me feel weird about not having ridiculously high density like all the girlies who actually make it in these YouTube streets. You know, these girls who have enough hair in their heads for like 2, 3, or 4 people. I started to feel insecure about the fact that my hair didn't look nor behave like the girls who do make it here on YouTube. Insecurities about my no edges. Before YouTube, I don't think I had even used or heard the term edges. My subtle hairline never bothered me. I didn't even think anything of it. I didn't even think it was especially thin or anything. That is until people started commenting things like, she looks like she has cancer. I'm dead ass. This is what people are doing out here. So for something that started off as really fun and exciting for me in the beginning, the amount of vitriol I discovered as time went on, frankly, I didn't need that shit. And my whole ethos, I guess, of showing women who didn't have the desirable, pretty hair textures that we always see represented, women who don't have 3 or 4 heads worth of follicles on their scalp and insane density, women who have thinner, finer edges and somehow manage to still be decent people. My aim to show them that our hair is pretty and to show them what I do and what works for me, and to help these women grow their hair longer if they needed some ideas on how to do that, turned out YouTube just wasn't here for it. And after I decided it wasn't worth the considerable amount of work it takes for me to do that type of content with basically zero ROI for my efforts, it became a pretty easy decision for me to just let it go. People weren't buying what I was selling. And after moving on, I soon found an unexpected freedom and self-acceptance, which continues to today. Today, I do my own thing with my hair. I try new things when I want to, I rely on old things that I know work, and I barely watch any hair videos now, ever. So I'm not left comparing my hair to anyone else's and longing for traits that I'm never going to have. I realized that there was no way I was ever going to out-create content from people with hair that aligns with this extremely specific way y'all think Afro textured hair should look, that aligns with the very particular version of natural hair that is considered acceptable and pretty rather than unkempt and unprofessional. Short of being a different person with different hair, there was no future for this channel as a hair channel. Chucking up the deuces to YouTube hair videos and the f***ery that goes on this platform legit got my hair thriving more than ever, seems like. I cut 10 or so inches off 2 to 2.5 years ago because at that point I already had one foot out the door with hair content anyway, so, you know, you only YOLO once, as they say. Not only was that cut something I legit wanted and needed because that hair, them ends needed to go, chow. But because of the fucking weirdos here on YouTube, I knew it would also serve as a culling of those who felt that they had some stake of ownership over my hair, and it would probably get them to unsubscribe. Win-win. I do see some encouraging changes in, 2020 natural hair YouTube, from a 4C perspective, obvi. Like Star Puppy, who's doing great. I will link her channel in the description box. So it does give me hope to see more than 0 women with hair that I actually relate to who are finally making moves, making hair content on this platform. Since I divested, though, my hair care has changed from a routine that I dread and feel anxious about to be something that I enjoy and is indeed one of my favorite parts of my self-care. And I don't feel like I live in fear of my own hair any longer. Afraid of damaging it and thereby damaging my credibility as a natural hair YouTuber. And even though I never let this stop me from doing what I wanted to do with my hair, I no longer have to think about what anyone else thinks if I cut my hair significantly or shave my friggin' head. I love my hair now in a way that I don't think I ever have before. I certainly didn't love it when I was a kid, and I didn't hate it, but my mom wasn't the gentlest with my hair, and I'm tender-headed as fuck, so Dread doesn't even begin to cover how I felt about getting my hair washed and styled when I was growing up. There is a leaf blower going outside, so sorry for the noise right now. Once I was on my own with my hair, I was ambivalent at best. I never felt even the slightest bit tempted to perm it, even once I was old enough to be able to make that kind of life decision for myself. But I also didn't take very good care of it. You know, I had no real technique yet, and I just rocked it in a tangled, dry, shrunken fro most of the time, which I still think was pretty cute, to be honest with you. Ultimately, it was my experience as a content creator in the hair space that made things pivot to the decidedly negative. And I've always had supporters, don't get it twisted, because I wouldn't have continued for any length of time making hair videos if it was 100% negative. However, it is human nature to remember the 5 people who called you raggedy under the video, rather than the 500 who were sweet to you. Sad but true. I say frequently that I don't agree with the ever so popular line of, well, if you put yourself out there, like, just stop right there. People always say that, like, if you make internet, then you should be open to people abusing you while they hide behind an avatar of a fucking egg. Get out of here. No, making videos or Instagrams with hair tips or content about anything else really is just that. It's content. It's always morons invoking freedom of speech as justification to say shit that they would never say to your face ever. A person making a YouTube video is not an invitation for you to be an asshole. With the content that I do now, I still get my share of losers in the comments for sure, but I'd much rather deal with attacks on my views on culture or social justice or politics before I have to deal with attacks on things I legit cannot change, like the number and shape of the hair strands that I have growing out of my scalp. Girl, bye. Anyway, I did it. I'm done. I finished detangling. I finished this tea talk rant. I'm feeling good and I'm ready to go on with my day. So thank you guys for hanging out with me and hearing me out, and thanks again to everyone who voted in the Patreon poll. I know I look raggedy. My mascara's running. I probably have pre-poo conditioner in my eyelashes. Girl, leave me alone. Natural hair care gets messy, okay? Anyway, I'm ready for my wash day tomorrow, and that is all that matters. I hope you guys are doing well. To quote the Portland Uprising, stay safe and stay dangerous. And last but not least, never trust anyone with a Morphe code. Bye-bye.
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm gonna tell you that now.